And had Dr. Ambedkar not suffered what he suffered, we would have perhaps not had such a wonderful constitution where the interest of the minorities, the interest of the backward classes or scheduled caste, scheduled tribe are protected. So such was the level of treatment, ghastly treatment, unbearable for any human being. I wonder how this man survived, because such a man would have either gone mad or would have committed suicide. Ambedkar was an extraordinary man. From the childhood he suffered. Justice Gavai also comes from the same background, not of Dr. Ambedkar, those days are gone, but he must have also suffered. He must have also experienced what it is to be a scheduled caste. And from there to come to a level of Chief Justice of India, his experience will count a lot. If you recall, even under the Chinese aggression, when we were at war with China, this time we were not at war with anyone. It was only a surgical strike. But when we were definitely at war with China, even then the parliament on the demand of the opposition met and the issues were taken up. Nobody said this is anti-national. This question should not be raised in parliament.
Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome. For our next face-to-face, I have with me our guest Justice Iqbal Ansari, who has served as Chief Justice of Patna High Court and also as Acting Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court. Welcome, sir, for our next episode of Expert Insights. Pleasure to have you in our show. Sir, very recently, Justice B.R. Gavai, the new Chief Justice of India, said that Constitution is supreme. What is your reading from his statement, keeping in mind the recent standoff between judiciary and executive on the question of who is supreme, whether it is parliament or judiciary?
The statement is obviously correct. The controversy has been raised, I think, unnecessarily by saying that president is supreme or the parliament is supreme. That is not the situation. Whether it is the president or it is the parliament, judiciary, executive, each one of these institutions are uh, each of these institution is created or originated from the constitution itself. And the constitution does not give supremacy to any one of them. Everyone has his own allotted sphere of work. And therefore, as long as an institution remains within the bounds of the constitution, even if its decision or action is unpleasant to me, I must accept it readily as correct. In the sense that parliament is supreme is not the correct position of law. Or the president cannot be directed by the Supreme Court to do something or to undo something which has been done is also not correct. Promulgation of the president rule is the action of the government, rather of the central government. But to test whether it is correct or not is for the judiciary at the level of the High Court or at the level of the Supreme Court. Both can do it. And they have interfered earlier, and the decision has been upheld. And it does not happen only when the order is in favor of the central government or parliament, but when it is even in favor of the opposition. If you remember S.R. Bomai's case, that was a case where I think 7 or 9 governments, state governments had been dismissed by the Congress government when they came to power after the collapse of the Janata Party rule. When the parliament makes a law, it's law so made can be judicially reviewed. That means what has been done is reviewed by the Supreme Court or the High Court. One cannot say that High Court is inferior to Parliament or Supreme Court is inferior to Parliament, because it is the duty assigned to them by the Constitution itself. If you remember, the oath of the office of the judge of the High Court or of the Supreme Court does not really differ. It is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. How do you preserve it? You preserve it by obviously upholding or ensuring that the essential features or basic structure that we call of the Constitution is not infringed, is not broken by any manner. That can be done by the judiciary. Similarly, when an action has been taken by the president, is it in consonance with law or it is in breach of law? Who will decide? Not obviously the president, not obviously the parliament. It is the judiciary which has to decide. So that is how I feel that controversy was uncalled for. And more so the controversy on the use of Article 142 by the Supreme Court. True, it is that 142 has to be very sparingly used or taken resort to. But unfortunately, in the case of the Vice President who made the statement that Article 142 is like a nuclear missile with the Supreme Court shooting. I don't know in your show or not, I have said that as far as Babri Masjid case is concerned, clearly the Supreme Court came to the view that a temple was demolished and thereupon a mosque was built. These no evidence. The archaeological evidence or the purported to have found the remnants of a temple under the Babri Masjid Mosque is also not correct. The Supreme Court also deprecated the action of suddenly appearance of the Ram Lalla. They said it has been surreptitiously kept. So that also is not. Then the Supreme Court also took the view that the demolition of the Babri Masjid in the name of Karsevar or by the Karsevar was also wrong. In fact, they said it's a heinous crime. So when all these things were there, obviously decision could not have gone in favor of the temple. But it has been given. Supreme Court says that we are of the view that it has to be permanently solved. Okay. For the purpose of finding the permanent solution to the controversy which had been existing, the Supreme Court took resort to 142 and declared that not declared, they said this place is being given to temple. And because there are two parties and government was not a party, it was obviously a civil suit is between two individuals, two parties. The Supreme Court said ask the government to give 5 acres of land or whatever is the measurement of the land which government said. And both sides accepted it. So the fact of the matter remains that the Babri Masjid decision is to the benefit of the temple by taking resort to Article 142. Had Article 142 not been resorted to or not been taken help of, Supreme Court would not have decided the issue in favor of the temple. That time our president was very happy. But when it came to the direction of given to the president or the governor, then he feels restless. We have to understand that everybody has to respect the Constitution, and that is called constitutional morality. So constitutional morality is that you can't frustrate Supposing there is a president who does not listen to the government, government gives or the parliament gives one after the another the legislation and the president, and the government keeps it or the president keeps it uh, pending. So the whole purpose of having a governance, which means everyday work will come to a standstill, that is not desirable. Can the Supreme Court not interfere in such a situation? And the Supreme Court says no, governor cannot be directed. Why can't the president cannot be directed? Why? If the president is at the wrong and his action is judicially not sustainable when reviewed, then in that event his action can be interfered with and a mandamus can be issued even to the president what to do and what not to do. So that was a controversy I feel was uncalled for. And Justice Gavai is absolutely correct in saying that it is the constitution which is supreme.
Justice, the new Chief Justice B.R. Gavai has also said that he is not going to hold any official post, after his retirement. So, what kind of a message he wanted to put across to the legal fraternity and also to the government?
I think it's a clear message to everyone that he will not accept any post-retirement benefit. So he is not expecting anything from the government. So his decisions, according to what Gogoi has said, should not be taken in expectation of some benefit to be derived from the government. That's what I feel is the perspective.
Okay. As a former Chief Justice of Patna High Court, what is your expectation from the new Chief Justice? And are there any specific area or issue that you think the new CJI should focus on as Chief Justice, given his background and expertise?
A judge has to decide according to the law and the constitution. But nonetheless, personal experience of a person also has a bearing. We must recognize that as far as India is concerned, everybody's rights flow from the constitution. And had Dr. Ambedkar not suffered what he suffered, we would have perhaps not had such a wonderful constitution where the interest of the minority, the interest of the backward classes or scheduled caste, scheduled tribe are protected. I do not know how many of your viewers will know when Dr. Ambedkar came back from England or from Colombia to serve the government which had sent him on a scholarship to Colombia. He was required to have a residence. He did not have any residence. He opted to stay in one of the rooms which was used as a storeroom for the office. There also it was because of the fact that he was untouchable. It was not allowed. He goes to a friend who was a Parsi. Though Parsi, his friend said, no, I cannot keep because culturally, even an untouchable in Hindu is also untouchable to Parsis. He goes to a Christian who was his friend. That Christian also says the same thing. He could not also keep Dr. Ambedkar because Ambedkar was untouchable under the Hindu community. He goes to a Muslim, and the surprise of all, even a Muslim does not support him. So such was the level of treatment, ghastly treatment, unbearable for any human being. I wonder how this man survived, because such a man would have either gone mad or would have committed suicide. Ambedkar was an extraordinary man. From the childhood, he suffered. He was not allowed to drink water from the same tap from which the other students were having. He was not allowed to sit on the benches or on the rugs which were allowed by other caste students to sit. He was asked to sit on another rug. That's how it is. So he suffered, he realized what need to be done in India for everyone, for the majority community, for the minority community. And that is why we have such a constitution. Justice Gavai also comes from the same background, not of Dr. Ambedkar, those days are gone, but he must have also suffered. He must have also experienced what it is to be a scheduled caste. And from there to come to a level of Chief Justice of India, his experience will count a lot. And we must give credit to the Supreme Court and the government that they have, or rather given Justice Gogoi an opportunity to serve the country as the Chief Justice of India.
So, what
So,
can be? Yeah, yeah.
so I feel that in these areas where the question of protection of the scheduled tribe minorities, other backward classes are concerned, question of untouchability is concerned, and states where you have found that a bridegroom is not allowed to sit on a horse because that is supposed to be only occupied by higher caste. Those things will see some definite corrections, I will say.
So, can we also expect any kind of decision, or we can expect from the new CGI on particularly bulldozer justice, hate speech, and the rule of law, particularly?
He will be a judge, I feel, who will uphold the constitution and the laws, which is the oath of office of CJI also, that he has to uphold the constitution and the laws, and I'm sure he will. I will be a very disappointed person if he does not. I have high expectations from him because it is a great achievement for a person like Justice Gogoi to reach to the office of the Chief Justice of India.
And so does the expectations are very high.
Hmm?
Because of his background and his expertise.
Apart from his background, it is his decision on the demolition of the houses by that was he took a stand and he has very steadfastly stood by that decision. That's how that was absolutely arrogance of power that you start demolishing people's houses only on the ground that is not acceptable to you. That's the law.
So, for our viewers, how would you like to recall the performance of outgoing CGI Justice Khanna?
Honestly speaking, for me and people like me, he was a revelation. It was outstanding because he was brought to the Supreme Court from position of 35th position. He was brought to this level. And people expected that having been favored by the government, he will give or look at the government before giving any order. But it appears that has he is a man who believes in the civil liberty. He believes in transparency. He believes in rule of law. He believes in everybody abiding by the law and the constitution. That's something remarkable he has done. And because of our unfortunate experiences with the previous several Chief Justice Khanna came as a fresh air. And we started breathing that, yes, there is a man who will give a new turn, a new, he will open a new leaf in the life of the Constitution and the Supreme Court. And that's what he has done wonderfully well. I have great regards for him.
Even he too has also announced that he will not take any kind of position post his retirement.
That I think would not have been given to him looking his record he may not have been given, but well, he made it very clear he will not take any post-retirement benefit from the government. And that leaves him aside. Such bold decisions are very far and few between.
So finally, after the ceasefire between India and Pakistan, what would you think should be the role of opposition, and what is your take on the demand for a debate in Parliament under the constitutional guidance?
I will leave the question of politics to the politicians to decide.
Yeah.
I will only give you the perspective of a man from judiciary, what under the constitution is saying.
Yeah.
See, we must realize, and perhaps people are forgetting, that opposition is also a part of the scheme of governance by the constitution. It is not something that opposition is undesirable in India. Nowhere in the world opposition is undesirable. So when opposition is a part of the larger institution, because institution is not only parliament. Parliament has not only the members of the ruling party, parliament also has the members of the opposition. They have also been elected by the people. They also represent the voice of the people whose voices have to be heard in the parliament. So if there is anything which the people of India want through the opposition, that has to be taken care of. If you recall, even under the Chinese aggression, when we were at war with China, this time we were not at war with anyone. It was only a surgical strike. But when we were definitely at war with China, even then the parliament on the demand of the opposition met and the issues were taken up. Nobody said this is anti-national. This question should not be raised in parliament. And otherwise also, it is very common knowledge that there was a serious failure on the part of the government in protecting those who unfortunately were killed, 26 or 27 people. Who will assume the responsibility for loss of their lives? First, we will have to be, our own people have to be accounted who have the responsibility. It is the Home Ministry. It is the National Security Advisor. These are the people who have to give us the explanation, and that explanation has to come from the government. And when the opposition is a part of the larger scheme of the institution, and they cannot be treated as outsiders. I will give you one example. Lord Denny, you must have heard his name, and many others must have heard his name, was a very foremost jurist in the world. He was the Lord Chancellor in England. In one of his books, he writes that when the Second World War was on, the way we are today confused, who is winning, who is losing, who has shot whose aircraft, he says, we also used to be very confused in England as to where the truth lies. And the wonder of wonders, he says, that we used to wait for Churchill to speak in Parliament because Churchill was the Prime Minister. And he says, we knew that Churchill will not be able to lie. Look, this is a nation which has its empire is so big that sun never sets. If sun sets in Australia, it rises in Arunachal Pradesh. Such is the vast empire. And the people were looking to the words of one prime minister, confident that he will not lie when he speaks to the parliament. That is the standard which we have to maintain. We have to ensure that no minister lies. Forget about the prime minister. Not even a minister has to lie. People have to have confidence in what they say. Now, there are so many questions which have arisen. Who will answer? That can be answered only in the parliament, particularly when the prime minister has not addressed this question. Now, besides that, for instance, the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, what he has stated, he addressed a press conference an hour before our Prime Minister, and he says there that I told both of them that if you want to do trade with us, you will have to forget this war. That means he threatened India and Pakistan to stop the war, and that's why the ceasefire. He says good sense has prevailed upon them and stopped. Is it true that he threatened us? Is it true that he intimidated us? Don't you think our people need to know? And the opposition demand that the Prime Minister must address this question in the Parliament. How can it be wrong? It is not international. Those Indians who want the answer, they are also part of India. They can't be said to be foreigners or acting at the behest of the foreigners. Today, what we are unfortunately witnessing, that anything which the opposition parliamentarian says, that is regarded as an anti-national. When the Prime Minister goes to foreign country and says that used to be a feeling of the Indians, where are we born? What crime did I commit in my past life that I have made to suffer by being born in India? Our Prime Minister said, but today when the leader of the opposition says, then it becomes anti-national. This double standard has to be given up. And if India is a strong country, its armed forces done wonderfully well, not this time, in the past also. They can't go and tell the parliament. They have no role in the parliament. The President of India is the supreme commander. She has to give the reply, and that reply has to come from the defense minister or the prime minister when they speak in the parliament, ensuring that they don't make any lies. So when such questions have arisen, and these are vital questions, how anybody can say that raising the questions will be playing into the hands of Pakistan?
On that note, let us hope peace prevails in the subcontinent and also rule of law prevails in our country under the regime of new Chief Justice of India. Thanks, sir, for sharing your perspective. We'll be back next time with another expert. Thanks for watching. Take good care of yourself. Keep your environment clean. Goodbye.